You tell me when to go, Mr. Todd. Thank you all for coming tonight. This is going to be a fairly informal event. This is the first time we've done this. Todd and I were talking about our forum that we normally do every year for either mayor or for city council candidates. And, you know, we don't have very much time between when candidates are announced and when we can actually finally get a forum together to write stories and get to know who these candidates are. So we thought this might be an interesting way to give them all a chance to give you some information about them, why they're running, and give you a little bit of background. And so they're gonna each get 10 minutes to talk about themselves. And then when that's over, everybody can ask, you know, kind of mill about, have some coffee, tea. It's across the way in the Vermont room. And then just talk to the candidates and ask your questions. And then next week we will have strictly city council candidates in a forum with more focused questions. And then there will be a question and answer period. But what we have found is that sometimes people just have more generalized questions. And so this might be a better forum for them to ask those more generalized questions. This will be live on Facebook tonight. For both NEK-TV and the Newport Daily Express, and then it will air on NEK-TV and be on their YouTube page in case you want to go back and look, or if anybody asks you or candidates want to share it. And then also in the Vermont room for afterwards is some pens, paper, and a little box that you can leave questions if you think of something later on, something specifically you'd like to be asked of the candidates in next week's forum, and then we'll work those in and incorporate them with the questions that we are putting together and taking from through email and Facebook and that sort of thing. So with that being said, we're going to start with Adam, and then we'll just work 10 minutes down the way, about a minute. When you have about a minute left, I'll let you know that's what you got left for time, and then we'll move on to the next person. Thank you all for coming.
How you doing, Newport? Adam Ortiz. Oh, that's loud. I plan to pretty much just stay in my lane. I understand we have different challenges, and the way to approach the challenges are not popular, but it's necessary. You ever heard the term get a job? Well, what has to happen before that even is a possibility? Homeless people need to maintain hygiene and get all their paperwork together. To include high school students, when you leave high school, do you have your social security card, your birth certificate, non-driver's ID? Passport has more power when you're applying for a job, so we'll make that part of the senior year. With the homeless problem, are they able to interact in the general public in a work environment? Some people, they're not there. Some people don't want to do it. For those that do want to do it, you need your social security card, you need your birth certificate, you need your passport, because you don't have an address. So that has to happen way before then. A place to maintain hygiene, a place to do your laundry. When it comes to the construction projects that are coming, I'm a construction guy and I know where to find things cheaper. And that's how you keep costs down. Just keep shopping for the best price. If I'm not a subject matter expert, I just take a sport role. Anybody have any questions of me? Okay. Thank you for your time. I hope to get your vote.
So that was pretty quick. So we'll move on to Rick.
I'm good. Thank you, Tabitha. And thank you, Adam, for setting a very high bar in terms of brevity.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. My name is Rick Ufford Chase. I'm a candidate for mayor. I'm running unopposed. There's no one else on the ballot. And I find myself in an odd position of wanting to talk about the things that are important to Newport going forward and not having a debate or a candidate to debate with. But I'm glad for this opportunity. So Tabitha, thank you for creating it. And since this was billed as an opportunity to get to know us, I thought that's where I would start. Back in October, after several months of deliberation, I was part of a small group, 4 of us, who put our heads together and decided to form a little corporation, a little LLC, actually, called Ragamuffin Builders. And we did so with the intention of buying the Bayview, the old, what is many of you will remember as the old Bayview Motel that for the last 20 years was called Richard's Hunting Lodge, up on the backside of Newport on Route 5 as you kind of go over the crest of the hill and head off toward Coventry there, looking out over the South Bay. And the reason we were interested in buying that property is because it's been sitting for a very long time without any serious investment. It's some of the most rundown housing in our community. And this little partnership was intentionally created for the skill sets that we each brought to the table. Colin Matthews, who was a lifelong Newport Derby resident and works up at Community National Bank as a financial spreadsheet analyst, was asked to join into this in order to bring some financial acumen and he's the numbers and kind of bill-paying person. And Keith Richardson, a good friend of mine from Lowell, longtime friend of our families from Lowell, is a classic Vermonter. He's a certified master electrician, and he can run any piece of heavy equipment, and he can solve any problem. He's kind of remarkable. And Aaron Smart, who lives in North Troy, has been in the area now for about 4 years, and he was a contractor in Tennessee and before he came up here, and he now works for NETO, helping to support the program of doing appraisals on energy efficiency in people's homes across the Northeast Kingdom. And then I bring to the table a little bit of background in home remodeling and project management. And the 4 of us decided that perhaps we could figure out how to take this project on together. And the reason I bring it up is because it's actually, I think, a good example of the kind of leadership that we really need to develop. It's not about me personally. It's about the people that we can inspire together to work to try and take on Newport's greatest challenges. And there are some. I've been on the city council now for a year, and I'm very proud of the work we've done on the city council. There are many, many things that I feel really, really positive about. And there are also significant challenges confronting us. Adam alluded to those challenges. Housing security, long-term economic development strategy, how we're going to reclaim and maintain a sense of fiscal responsibility. Those are the things that are most important to me. And they seem a little overwhelming, and within the first couple of, maybe the first week or so after I made the decision and announced that I was a candidate for mayor, when people would ask me about it, I would kind of roll my eyes and say, you know, somebody's got to do it. And then I thought, this isn't the way to approach this, because actually I'm really excited about the possibilities of what might happen if we all choose to do this work together. And shortly after the 4 of us with Ragamuffin Builders purchased the Bayview, we were doing our first kind of major meeting over there and walking through the entire property together. The hotel looks like something out of The Shining, and it's in really, really bad condition. And we were doing that kind of self-deprecating thing that people do when there's an overwhelming task. We all kind of, oh my gosh, it's going to be something else, you know? And then Keith stopped us and said, you know, guys, there's nothing here that we can't handle between us with the experience that we've got. And we shouldn't be talking like this, because we can handle anything that comes up. And it stopped me in my tracks. And it's a lesson I've gone back to repeatedly over the last 4 or 5 months since we bought the property. So that's one story I wanted to share about myself. A second little bit about myself is that my mom and my dad are both in the room tonight. My mom grew up in Lowell. Her father, Archie, who died when he was younger than I am now. He died at age 58 of emphysema, which probably had something to do with the fact that he smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day, but it may not have been helped along by the fact that he also worked for many years on the swing shift at the asbestos mine in Eden and Lowell. And he was on a tethered oxygen machine for a number of years before he died. And I thought the world of him. He was pretty amazing, and he could do anything, or at least I believed he could do anything. And I think he kind of believed it too. And those values, the ability to create something out of nothing, have impacted my entire life. And I've watched it the way it impacts my mom. Because it's not just about creating something out of nothing and doing for oneself, it's also about what we do for our neighbors. And I have memories of my mom being up all night long when I was growing up in York, Pennsylvania, helping friends of hers to wallpaper their houses, or taking people in when they couldn't stay with their folks anymore because they'd made some bad choices and there was no really place for them to go, and they came and lived with us for a while. And my mom has done that for every day I've known her, all of her life. And my dad too, though he does it a little bit differently. My dad's a retired Presbyterian minister, and his leadership style that I learned at his feet is that you do leadership by servanthood. You commit to get the work done, and often you do it yourself when it doesn't feel like others are able to get it done, and you don't take the credit, you share the credit, and when there's blame, you take responsibility. And that's a pretty great way to approach life, I think. It's worked for my dad all his life, and I've modeled it, tried to model it all of my life too. So you don't complain, you put your shoulder down, you find some friends, and you go to work together. That's really what it's all about. I have some hobbies. I spend time in the woods. We still have 100 acres in our direct family that my grandfather bought in the early 50s by scrimping and saving. And I spend time, as recently as last weekend, I was out with the dog in 4 feet of snow on snowshoes in the woods. And I love being in the woods. It is my spiritual grounding. And that's the thing that keeps me centered. When I didn't live here in the area, because I didn't grow up here, I grew up in Pennsylvania and then lived in Arizona for 20 years, and then in the lower Hudson Valley for a dozen years. And I would come back here 2-3 times a year. I don't think I've ever missed a Christmas here in Lowell. And I would stand in the woods and take a mental snapshot, and it was what got me through hard moments for the rest of the year. And I'm still doing it today. And home rehab, the kind of stuff that we're doing up at the Bayview, it's what actually relaxes me, whatever the problem may be. The other day, I was taking down a piece of ceiling with a Sawzall, and I clipped a copper pipe that runs the entire hot water heating system for the building. And I'm spraying water all over the place and yelling obscenities as I'm running to the back of the basement to find the hot water shutoff valve. But you know, it's fixed already. And what happens when I'm doing that kind of work is I lose myself in it. I think only about the task that's in front of me. All the other stuff slips away. And I really love that. And then lately, my wife's gotten me hooked in the last 7 weeks on Duolingo. I spend an hour a day, sometimes, most times actually, at 4:30, 4:45 in the morning, because I'm desperate to learn French. I'm fluent in Spanish because we lived on the US-Mexico border for 20 years, and it was very important to me. I worked a lot in Mexico. It meant a lot to me to be both bilingual and bicultural, and it really hurts me that I can't show our Canadian siblings the respect that they deserve. And I'm bound and determined that one way or another, in a year or two, I'm going to be fluent in French. And the little stupid owl on Duolingo is helping me get there. So that's just a little bit about myself. I'm happy to answer any questions when we have more time. Thanks very much.
Next is Carl.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Carl King, thank you for coming. A little bit about myself. In March, I'll be 52 years old. I've been in this area since I was 19, about 32 years. I first moved up here. I joined the National Guard. I was a tanker here in Newport. I was there about 2 years, and I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to be a little bit more. I wanted to be challenged in life. So I went active duty and certainly got challenged. So I did another couple years there. I came back in 2000. I started farming at Chapitz in North Troy. Learned literally boots on the ground type of living in this community. It really takes to be, with one. Our community is so diverse. I actually, after doing that, I went to construction, and with that, within 2 years, I was doing roof and fell off a roof, and that kind of ended that career. So with that, I learned that my mind was much stronger than my body, and I can apply it in different ways. And I thought, what better way to apply it to my community? And that's what I'm striving to do. I'm not a great orator, but I'm a great commenter. I'm just like you. I'm no better than you. I'm no less than you. I'm right there beside you, right where I need to be and where I want to be. I know the values of this community. I've been here long enough. I know the wants and the needs. I know we need to move forward. We need to step away to some traditional mindsets, but we need to do that to go into the future. But we need to do that together. If we can build a strong team, especially at the council, we're going to build a strong community. And I think the biggest asset we have is our community. I believe the answers are all there. We just need to ask you, and we need to listen. We can solve most of our problems. It's here. We don't need to ask people outside of the box, inside of the box. If asked and challenged, the answers are here. There's no other place in my life now that I want to be or concentrate. I have a child that's grown up here, and I'm proud. I'm proud that she's grown up here and she's a Vermonter. I think I've been here and served long enough that I'm proud to be a Vermonter. And I like to bring that value and that mindset to this, to the council. It's very much needed. It needs to be grounded, based, sound, wise decision-making, balanced, and certainly zero agenda. Hobbies, I love interacting with people. I'm a musician. High in the American Legion, I like working with veterans. Much like the veterans and seniors, that is the backbone of our community, which our community was built upon. And I will never forget that. I will always reach out and do what I can to help everybody, but especially those demographics. I go out every day. I help people who can't get to groceries, can't get to doctor's appointments. That's boots on the ground. These are the things that I do to the community that I relate to. I know both sides of the track, not just one. It takes all that. I've been 10 minutes already? Nope. Oh, all right. I was like, wow, that's a better orator than I thought. But that's basically it. It's really just something that's a passion of mine. I just really wanted to give back to a community that gave to me, and that took me in. And I think my wealth of knowledge and experience I can bring to the table and be an asset and bring value to Newport. So that's basically really it. Any questions, just reach out and I'll make myself available. Thank you very much for your time.
Carter? Yeah. So, Carter, and you're running for council as well, Chris.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me all right? All right, just making sure. My name is Carter. Oh, oh, you can. Thank you, Terry. You're the one that needs me. Okay. My name is Carter Finnegan, and I'm running for city council. I really appreciate everybody tuning in virtually, later, and just present right now. Getting primary sources from the candidates is really important. Informed voting, it matters. So I appreciate your attention, and thank you, Tabitha, and also NEK-TV for hosting us. I just more taking the approach of background. I moved to the area during COVID, so I've been here for 5 years, and I've been very much enjoying setting roots, getting to know my neighbors, being involved in different community organizations, and now I professionally do work with municipalities in our region. But personally on the note, I moved here for the outdoors element. The lake is gorgeous, the trail network, all seasons recreation. I think we all have been talking about how much snow we have been getting. It's been wonderful. Yeah, just this weekend I had my family visiting and we went to Jay Peak, but you might have seen me on the trails at Bluffside, or just simply snowshoeing, skiing. It's just marvelous here. And also meeting people that are also invested in wanting to upkeep that area. So there's local groups, nonprofits, but also the municipality has been shepherding a lot of those efforts. So focusing back on what I would want to do is really just be listening. My showing up to the NEK, not really, I don't have family here, but I've been very much enjoying listening to my neighbors and bringing those ideas, as well as working collaboratively with the municipality, either directors, but just in general, when I work with other select boards for my job, it's just a productive, collaborative space. And I think that that is what we are missing at the table. I would like for the city council to be representing more folks. And I think as a young woman professional, I could do that. I think I'm also pretty approachable. I like gabbing with people extensively. Just last night, I was actually at Parker Pie giving a tipsy talk about sourdough. So this is a slightly different platform, but I very do much enjoy participating, hosting events, getting involved with Newport downtown development was just such an eye-opener because it really connected a lot of young professionals in our area. In addition, kind of stepping in, NDD is made up of a lot of folks in our region. Ooh, sugar, I am so sorry. Sorry. That was me. It's made up of a lot of young professionals in the area from like Derby over to North Troy, Coventry, Newport Town. So a lot of people come together, and I also would like that energy at the city council table. I understand right now why maybe some of our neighbor towns don't exactly want to extend and work collaboratively with us on some missions, but I think that if we change the table, make it more positive, make it more proactive, thinking about the future, while incorporating voices that have been here in the past, that would make really positive change. The state would take us a little bit more seriously on some fronts, and just in generally, I think people would be more positive about our government. So I hope to do some of those things. And sorry, I think, sorry, Terry, if I'm not being loud enough. One thing I know I'm up against is that I'm not from here, my last name Finnegan, you might not know it, but I am trying to be more present in getting voices, so come meet me at my coffee hours. I'm on Facebook. I'm happy to email or meet up for a one-on-one, but I would love to hear some other ideas that I just might not be privy to. I say frequently that and of course co-opted from indigenous tribes, but we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I very much believe on that principle. So I want to hear all the input that I can in this role, because that as a city council is what we're elected to do, is represent ideas and the mission of our constituents, and then work collaboratively with our municipal government to make Newport strong. So yeah, all right, appreciate it.
Next is Andrew.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, NEK-TV. Thank you, Tabitha. I've been a resident of Orleans County for 29 years, Newport City for 9. I've been on the fire department here for 10 years, current rank is captain, and I serve on several different boards as well. I'm current general manager of the Farm store here in Derby. I have 25 years of operational and logistic experience. So I feel as though I have a lot to bring to the table. I know that we are facing a lot of challenges within the city. They have done a lot of great work, but we need to continue that. We need to grow on a lot of what they have done to continue on, such as we need to fill some key roles within the city. You know, there's a couple. One being the city manager role, and then the finance and administrative position. We really need to fill some roles because if you're short-staffed, there's nobody to do that work, right? So a lot of stuff gets missed, delayed. The process is null and void at that point. So we really need to get some positions filled. We also need to make sure that our department heads are well aware of where they are with their budgets, where their capital expenses are. If money is being used in other areas, they need to be aware of it and not surprised when it's brought up in public. We need to actually look at the water and sewer rate. I know that that's been a hot topic. I know they're working on it. But it's not fixed. And we need to need to work together collaboratively with everybody, council and public, to get there. There's going to be some tough choices, tough decisions to make, but I feel as though I can do that. I also, I love this TIF district idea. This is a great idea moving forward. I really think that we still need to work with other developers. I know there's a few other projects going on now, to continue to work and grow and be, because if you don't have the housing, you're not going to have the jobs, and you're not going to have the successful businesses in the area. One thing that I do want to solve, and it's going to take everybody's collaborative work, is the lawyer fees. It's ridiculous, and the only people it's hurting are the taxpayers. Rather it be personal agendas, vendettas, so whatever have it. It's ridiculous that we're spending that kind of money because of those reasons. So we need to really look at it and look where we could have put that money, as opposed to in a lawyer's pocket, right? And then the Four Seasons. I love the way you said the Four Seasons city, right? You live, work, and play. I want to create this. We need a place where we can be affordable to live and work, as well as the city needs to be a great employer for the employees, and we need to be able to play and recreate and ski and snowboard and do all this stuff on the lake, with a beautiful lake. We need to be able to do that. So with that, I'll be available this evening for further questions, comments, and again, you can email me. I have Facebook. If you need any questions or would like any questions answered, I will be available. Thank you.
Clark?
Good evening.
Yeah, hold 1 second, we lost power, so we want to make.
Justin.
Well, how'd that happen? Alright, well, let's plug in somewhere else. Not here. This is not part of the regularly scheduled programming?
Yep, that did it. That outlet went out.
Okay.
We're back.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yes.
All right.
We're good. Want to thank the Newport Daily Express and NEK-TV for hosting this, and for all of you for coming out. My name is Clark Curtis. I can't believe it, but I'm 62 years old. I've been married to the same loving woman for 40 years. We have 3 children, 6 grandchildren. I'm a member of St. Mary's Church, member of the Knights of Columbus, a former member and chair of the Development Review Board, a former member and chair of the Planning Commission, former member and chair of the Historic Preservation Commission, current member of the Northeast Kingdom International Airport Committee, current alderman, current liaison to zoning, a lifelong resident of Newport City. In all, I have 17 years of municipal government experience with lots of training. I believe the city needs someone with a foundation, institutional knowledge, and history of the city. A person running for this position needs absolute dedication. Sitting at the table in the council room is the easy part. What happens behind closed doors, phone calls, emails, is the hard part. For me, true dedication, I remember sitting with Council President Chris Vachon city manager at the time, Laura Dolgan. My mother was sick and near death, and I got a call that she didn't have long to live, which really meant minutes. And I remained in the council room because I never would have made it in time to the hospital. And upon her death, I left the meeting. That's dedication. People here are not any of my opponents. We're all options. And I want to thank each and every one of them for stepping up. The city manager and an administrative assistant are one of the first priorities that need to be tackled when the new council begins. This coming Monday, there will be a discussion about the armory, possible new building for our police station. I hope everyone attends because I want to hear everyone's view of what they think. One of my visions 2 years ago was for the city to obtain the boardwalk. That hasn't happened yet. I do not want it to be an expense. I want the boardwalk and lots of money. Speaking with Senator Russ Ingalls, working on bringing 10 new EV charging stations to the city. The water and sewer rates are a big priority. President Vachon has been working on actual labor costs, so thanks to him, which was a lot of work. He entered labor and told me he has it on a drive and that he won't leave with it, that we will have it. And again, I want to thank him. It was a daunting task to enter all of that. I believe we need a committee of experts for the water and sewer issues and a lot of input from our residents. I will tell you, I am the only one that voted no for the last water and sewer increase. The state is looking for a new courthouse. I look forward to tackling that endeavor and seeing where that goes. Unlike the people sitting here, I've been here for 2 years. A lot of work was done. We straightened out the city school ownership. We corrected a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. In fact, next term, whomever is here, this very building will be a discussion because current ownership is undetermined. The most important thing in my 2 years was the Oliver Wyman report about the hospital. The Oliver Wyman report wanted to turn North Country Hospital into a mental health facility. That is still have been worked on. Took a bus trip with chaperones and a bus full of enthusiastic high schoolers to Montpelier. We had Heather McEwen, Beth Barnes and Jay Walsh arrived early to set up. We set up on the steps of the Capitol. Present were the mayor, Council President Vachon, CEO Tom Frank, and I. We held a press conference. It is absolutely the most important issue since I was elected. I am assuming that Representative Woodman Page will continue to work on this. There might be some changes at the hospital, but I don't believe it's going to be as the Oliver Wyman report suggested. My connection to Montpelier through our current mayor, who will work with me, and for the city of Newport. I feel that's a great connection. We have downtown issues. Former city manager Laura Dolgan taught me or suggested we not call it the hole. that it is the Newport downtown development site, puts a positive spin on it. We've had Needleman's closing, Walgreens closing. I don't believe that is any fault of, as people have approached me, the downtown group. I don't blame them at all. Walgreens is a chain store. Needleman's explained that their manager was leaving after decades. Something I will do is hold at least 2 meetings for the public on what they'd like to see for the downtown development site. Can tell my colleagues that are running that you absolutely have to pay attention to everything. Warrants, minutes, outdated information on the city website. We have, in our work, we had trouble getting a fire chief. We now have an administrative assistant and a fire chief with limited capacities or things he needs to do as far as the administrative items. I think it's, talking to Andrew before we started, I heard that it's working out well. I believe this is from our current mayor. Conversations with Representative Brian Smith identified how Derby and Newport need to unite. It's a community. Newport is the hub of the Northeast Kingdom, and we must work with all of its neighboring towns. Feuds of long ago need to go away. I believe that personally, knowing the town administrator and most on the select board, I can make this happen. As a planning commission member, we used to meet with the Derby Planning Commission twice a year, once in Newport and once in Derby. I do not have a website. I'm having to do more than I did last time. Last time I took out a petition and went and voted. There are a lot of good candidates here, and I appreciate your vote, and we will all be in the other room to answer.
And thank you for being here. And thank all of you for being here tonight. Coffee, tea, and leave your questions.
Can I leave my stuff here?